Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend, our 2021 College Roadshow from right here at the University of Missouri. A great crowd from Kaffner. Thanks everyone for joining us. Mother Nature holding off on the moisture right now. We appreciate that as well. Ben, you look at this past week, we had a big USDA report. In these October reports, there's a lot of question marks about soybean demand. Some saying USDA was too conservative in the adjustments that they made. So let's be honest right now. Is soybean demand a sinking ship?
Yeah, so you're correct. When we get to October, the October USDA supply and demand reports are always a big deal, mostly because we're looking at production, trying to get a handle on U.S. production. This year, the question was really on the demand side, specifically to soybeans. We had a hurricane hit some of our Gulf ports that have really slowed down our export inspections. We had a good week this week, getting back up a little bit closer to speed. But when we look at overall commitments, both sales and what has left the country, on the soybean side, we're about 37% down from where we were last year. We continue to trail the pace we need to hit USDA's estimate that's just a smidge under 2.1 billion bushels. So the expectation was that demand could come down, and it didn't. They held. We could see that continue to falter a little bit as we go forward, and certainly the soybean market reacted negatively towards it as well. Yeah,
the soybean market has not been impressive. Corn market really hasn't either. After this report, wheat was kind of a shining star and continues to be a shining star. Is wheat what's going to continue to support corn prices, and can it? Do you think corn prices can find some stability, Scott?
So I think they can. Again, I think wheat was a little bit of a bright spot out of what we got in the report from USDA. Whether that gets us more acreage as we think about what happens for spring wheat next year, that could be one of the things that maybe takes a little bit of the shine off of wheat prices as we look ahead. We'll see how much gets planted next spring.
Do you think corn, though, can find some momentum? Do you think we can find some stability at these levels?
I think we're going to continue to perhaps struggle finding a place. Again, I think a better crop maybe gets us continued some downward pressure on where corn goes. And of course, that can change pretty quickly with countries like China deciding maybe they'll take some more corn from us.
Well, it's an opposite story for cotton, Joe. I mean, you look at this cotton market above $1. A lot of folks didn't think we could get here. We are here. Can these cotton prices hold?
No.
Would you like to explain why, Joe?
Okay. When we generally, as economists, we look at fundamental things that affect the markets, and basically this has happened kind of against the fundamentals. So I expect this to be kind of a short-lived deal, and it's going to return. Producers don't want to hear it. I'm far enough from home I can actually say these things. But the fact of the matter is they need to be looking at marketing some of their crop at this price.
Yeah, and as you look at harvest continuing, and now we're going to debate 2022 acreage bin, you not only have wheat prices and cotton prices and sorghum prices that have been really friendly, but you have these high input costs. So when you look at the factors that could really change the game for acreage next year, how big of a factor will not only input prices be, but also input availability?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the availability point there is what I want to emphasize, because when we look at prices, soybean prices have fallen 70 cents since the start of the marketing year, $1.40 in the last couple months. And so that's why I'm sitting here saying I'm not exactly sure soybeans are going to give up that much acreage to corn, at least at the current point. But if we can't source nitrogen for whatever reason, that really starts to impact that and hinder that.
So if we can't source nitrogen, and let's say some of those producers then move over to soybeans, how will we see these prices compete, Joe, next spring? Because it could be an interesting acreage battle.
Correct. I guess when you look at these types of things, usually you say who's the highest cost of production, who has all these input costs, and it's cotton, rice, and corn. And so obviously they're going to be some bidding of acres. I told someone earlier, I think that in this part of the world, you have the choice between corn and beans, and frankly, it's one of those things where it's going to look really a lot like you ought to go towards beans, but y'all always are sneaky, and you're going to plant some corn regardless, because the prices, if everybody goes beans, the price of corn is going to go up.
Scott,
and you have to think about those things.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think expectations are going to matter a lot here. What do folks really think is going to get soybeans in the ground, and does that push soybean prices down relative to corn? So even with high input costs, perhaps we're going to find producers who are going to try to stay with that rotation.
Is that the first time ever that you've agreed with Joe?
It is the first time ever
Well,
I've agreed with
yeah,
Joe. That's
congratulations,
right.
a first
Yes.
on the show this weekend. All right, we need to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with much more U.S. Farm Report in just a moment.